So now we've arrived at a very interesting point in my Dawn Blue series of reviews. I'm sure many of you probably don't even know this movie exists. And if you, and I'm sure a lot of my viewers are probably fans of this movie's predecessor and didn't know this movie had a spin-off or a sequel, prequel type thing. Not really sure what to call this. So it's very weird. Uh, Basically, today we're talking about Bartok the Magnificent. Now, this is an interesting movie. I have an interesting relationship with this movie, but we'll get into what this movie is essentially, why this movie is interesting. Essentially, this is the only direct-to-video Don Bluth movie there is. All of his other films were theatrically released, however limited that may be. I believe Pebble and Penguin and Troll in Central Park had a very limited release, but especially Troll in Central Park. And somebody might call, wait a minute, what about the Land Before Time movies? Well, he didn't direct those. What about the American Tail sequels? Well, he didn't direct those. It's even the theatrically released sequel. And also, I think, All Dogs Go to Heaven too, didn't direct that. So it's kind of interesting because a lot of his films have sequels. Secret of Nim 2, like all these movies. But this is the only one that he himself directed. And it actually, when Fox put it together, they actually thought it was good enough to release in theaters. They weren't correct about that, and Don Bluth rightfully made the decision not to have this film be released in theaters. Though, I do think this movie is better than maybe he was given it credit for. But yeah, and so, I don't know, it's a really interesting movie in his filmography for that reason. And, yeah. And my relationship with this movie is very interesting. Is I don't know why, but me and my family had this movie on DVD. And I saw this movie before I saw Secret of Nim, Land Before Time, American Tail, or Anastasia. In fact, I'm not really sure when I watched Anastasia for the first time. I think it was because I found the DVD at Walmart for $5. Could be wrong. But yeah, it's like, I think the first Don Bluth movie I saw was Secret of Nim. But before that was Bartok the Magnificent. So, very weird to have seen this movie first. And so I have kind of a little bit of nostalgia for this one. Though I don't remember watching it very often. Because really this movie is interesting, but also kind of not. Like, I think if you watch this movie as a direct-to-video movie, it's actually pretty impressive. The animation here is actually really good. For early CGI, blending with 2D, looks pretty impressive. But it's also been remastered to Blu-ray on this Anastasia Blu-ray. That's what's weird too, is this movie has its own standalone DVD that's out of print. So the only way to get this currently, I believe, is if you buy this Blu-ray, which I think you can still get for $10 or whatever, right? So really, this is the definitive Anastasia edition. It's got a sing-along edition, director's commentary, a bunch of stuff here, and you get this. And I think this movie is interesting if you watch it as a direct-to-video movie because of how well directed it is for direct-to-video music. The songs are really good, for a direct-to-video movie. The animation's really good. But other than that, it's really not really too interesting. And other than if you really like Bartok in Anastasia, which he's a decent character, he is fun here, and some of the side characters they introduce as a bear friend, very delightful personality like that character. There's some other characters like Baba Yaga in this movie, very fun characters, but it's got a few things memorable about it, but overall this is a very forgettable film. It doesn't really, I can't, I've seen this before, I can't really tell you the plot. It's kind of just there. I'm pretty impressed for what the team was given and what they were able to do with it, but also that doesn't really mean that much because, I don't know, I feel like there's better direct-to-video animated films you could watch. I can't really think of any off of the top of my head. I feel like in some ways there's better Disney direct-to-video animated movies. I could watch some of the Tinkerbell movies, and I feel like I'd remember some of the plots and events of those movies a little bit better than this one. Though I think this one's probably better animation wise. Actually, I don't know. Not to think on that, but it's a very interesting movie for that reason. I think if you really like Don Bluth's films and you've never seen this one or didn't even know this one exists, it's worth watching. If you like Anastasia, it's definitely worth watching, right? But it's not one of his best. It's kind of like, this is the one that I would put like, you got his bad ones, you got his great ones, and then this one is like right slapped up in the middle of that filmography, quality wise. It's kind of just there. Is it bad? Is it great? Is it interesting? Not really, but it is a film, definitely.